This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, and the only thing interesting coming out of WWE's Raw show last night was something that had nothing to do with the show itself other than a match that didn't happen. The behind the scenes, as usual, was more interesting than in front of the camera as Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out on Raw just apparently as the show was starting, returned their tag team titles, and did not appear in the main event as scheduled. So some more details came out according to PW Insider, and I'll go through some of the information that PW Insider reported. Now, apparently the plan was that Sasha and Naomi would face off in this six-pack challenge with Naomi winning and challenging Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair at Hell in the Cell. But apparently there's a belief that on Friday's SmackDown there would also be an angle where Banks would face Ronda Rousey at Hell in the Cell, with both Sasha and Naomi losing on the actual pay-per-view. There was an alternative idea where Doudrop and Nikki Ash, who would also have been in the six-pack challenge, would have won. But apparently they didn't like that idea either as far as Sasha and Naomi, and they ended up returning the titles to John Laurinaitis and saying they were leaving the company. Dave Meltzer has reported from the Wrestling Observer that they went to Vince McMahon and tried to change the creative plans, but Vince refused to back down. And McMahon apparently learned about them leaving the company right as this was happening. So basically, these people are performers that get paid a hell of a lot of money to do a job. Wrestling is a job. And when you sign a contract, you agree to do your job. You don't always like what you're told to do. That's why you're paid a shitload of money to do it. And the company also makes you into stars. So whenever you depart the company, your name has more value for appearances on indies, autograph appearances, or in other companies than it would otherwise. So if you don't do your job, you're just being a diva, sadly. So I don't really have much sympathy for them. They are still with the company, apparently. They have not been removed from the active roster. So this could very well be worked out. So, Chris, they are still under contract. And because they are under contract, it's not like they could just jump to AEW, because that would be a breach of contract. And then AEW and them could get sued over it. If you look, Steve Austin once walked out on WWE, and Brock Lesnar also left before his contract was up, and CM Punk also left before his contract was up. And there was legal situations and punishments related from all of that. So it's not like they could just walk away scot-free. When you sign contracts with WWE, they need to be legally notarized. So it's not like they didn't know what they were getting into when they signed. Isaac says, my channel is more entertaining than WWE. Thank you for all that I do. Well, you're welcome. And the other bit of news, which I'll say right now, is it's rumored that they are thinking of having Ricky Steamboat involved in this Ric Flair return match in Nashville, July 31st at the fairgrounds. So it's rumored that it's going to be a six-man tag team, Ric Flair and possibly FTR from AEW versus the Rock and Roll Express and Ricky Steamboat. However, apparently, according to Wrestling Observer, Tony Khan has not signed off on letting FTR be involved in the match yet. And for everyone that's bashing Ric Flair, he seems very happy talking about this. If it makes him happy, who cares? Let him do whatever he wants to do. That's my opinion on it. To be perfectly honest, I love Ric Flair, and let him do what makes him happy. If I was 73 and there was a demand from people to see me wrestle again, I would wrestle. I wouldn't just sit around doing nothing. So good for him. Jonathan says they remember that they kept saying Austin took his ball and went home when Austin left the company. Yes. And by the way, both Austin and Lesnar and Punk were bigger stars than these two. Although personally, I'd rather watch Sasha Banks than CM Punk any day. Naomi is married to one of the Usos, who are, of course, related to The Rock. And we all know WWE doesn't want to piss off The Rock too much, so that might work to their advantage. And they are being advertised for future house show events. So as I pointed out yesterday, in my hometown here of Ottawa, Sasha Banks and Naomi are being advertised. They're going to a 19,000 seat arena with this shitty card. So you would think that rather than find replacements for these girls, they would try and work it out, and the girls would try and work it out as well. Sammy says Sasha may not get the money that WWE pays her, plus Vince will not lose her as a talent. Yeah, I don't see Sasha Banks getting WWE money anywhere else. And by the way, I did ask yesterday, as I saw Sasha on Logan Paul's podcast saying she was with someone else that works for WWE. You fans answered it for me in the comments. Supposedly it's a male seamstress that she's with. So we all know WWE holds grudges against spouses of talent, as we've seen many times in the past. And Sasha's apparently with this male seamstress, and Naomi's with Jimmy Uso. So it'd be interesting to see what, if any, ramifications this would have on their significant others. Adonis says WWE ruined their careers because of racism. They were tag team champions, and neither of them would have a career if they weren't in WWE. So I don't see how WWE ruined their careers. And the other thing, WWE did put out a statement, as I said yesterday, talking about that these wrestlers had the option of or doing practices and rehearsals of the match, completely breaking kayfabe, which some people had an issue with, but it's not like WWE has tried to kayfabe at all anytime recently. Useless, which WWE wrestlers do I like? Brock Lesnar. Steve Austin, if you want to consider him still a wrestler. That's about it. But I'm not a fair judge because I don't watch it. I can't sit through more than a couple minutes of it. I think AJ Styles is talented, but I was never a fan of his because he's not my style of wrestler. And I did beat him 2 times in one night before, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know that. So have a great afternoon and hit the like button on this. Help get my videos recommended if you want. Do it for Piper here, who is sitting over here. Where is she? Give this video a like for Piper.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Facebook at the Hannibal TV for more live streams and videos.